Hi, we're Chris and Megan
Hello,
Rhea,
friends.
MakeLoveWork.me, and today we're doing another marriage moment. And our question today is this: is love a feeling?
Ooh.
This is a question on a lot of people's minds, and we are going to answer it for you
Yeah, we are.
today. But before we jump into that, just wanted to ask, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. That way you get notifications every time we do a video. And if you haven't checked out our new website, MakeLoveWork.me, head on over there and you can check out all of our free stuff, our course and coaching options that we have available. So Megan Rhea,
Yes, Chris Rhea.
is love a feeling?
Is love a feeling? Well, let me give you a little story to
Story
go along
time.
with that, okay? Because
Story
love
time.
absolutely has a lot of feelings, and we're going to talk about our feelings when we first fell in love.
When we were kids. Megan and I started dating at 16.
Who is that? Is that Ed Sheeran? I think it's Ed Sheeran. Yeah, Chris and I started dating at 16. I almost said 16 years old.
16 years of age, we started dating and we were in love. We fell in love fast. Now, people talk about puppy love. I don't personally believe in puppy love. I believe love is love. Now, sometimes teenagers awaken love and they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't mean it's not love. It means they can't keep their room clean and now they're in the most complicated relationship of all time.
Not speaking from personal experience.
I'm
or
speaking
anything
for
like
me,
that.
okay? I couldn't study. My mom had to tell me to study and clean my room. But
Right,
man,
I'm like,
we were
but
head over
here's my
heels.
heart. Makes
But-
perfect sense. So we started dating at 16 years old. We had all of the feelings for each other. In fact, there was a season, I think, that we were dating for about 6 months. We were both on family vacation at the same time. So that meant a week apart from each other. And
That was a
y'all,
long
this
time.
was what, 1997?
1997.
I'm gonna date us.
We were 17 years old without a care in the world, just love in our hearts.
Or without a cell phone. We couldn't text each other. Chris had a pager, and I could page him 143.
Come on.
You all remember that.
If you know what
You
143
remember.
is, you were a child of the 90s. Yes, you do.
But we couldn't talk to each other for a whole week, and it was like the worst thing ever in our hearts.
Yeah, what were we gonna do for a week without each other? No texting. Internet was just kind of getting started. We didn't have our
Yeah.
own laptops or
No,
computers. We were going somewhere where you had literally a telephone on the wall.
wall.
That was about it.
Yeah.
And so there was really no way to communicate with each other. So we were so young, so in love, and felt these in love feelings so strong that literally we came up with a plan. We were gonna write each other a love letter every single day that we were apart. 7 days we were gonna be apart. And we were gonna read these love letters to each other at 10 p.m. each night.
Okay.
So that we knew we were reading them at the same time and we could think about each other.
Right. So I mean, picture this. We're like our tearful goodbye. We hand each other these little wrapped stacks of cards. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Like this was classic Chris, Rhea, and Megan Casey at the time.
Romance. Hopelessly
Oh, my
romantic.
goodness.
Okay. So you couldn't open a letter in advance.
Right? No.
So we would open one, and I think I even brought the CD because you didn't have like MP3s at
No,
that
we had our
time. We
Walkmans.
didn't we had a Walkman, right? So I had a CD Walkman where I would play Somewhere Out There
Oh man!
while I read my
Wow,
letters.
somewhere. I mean, and that's that was an old song at that time too. So, anyways, okay, that is that's how like hopelessly romantic, all the feelings, and truly we were like that the entire time we dated. We dated for 4.5 years before we got married.
And so love was definitely a feeling. I mean, we felt in
felt
love.
it.
In fact, we felt like we had something so special.
That no one else ever had on the planet.
Maybe they had it, but the people in our lives, we didn't think they had what we had. We
Right.
had a soulmate type connection.
Right.
This was
Right.
in love, romance at its finest, and we were going to be like this forever.
Now, fast forward 2 years into marriage, okay? these burning in love feelings that we had.
Wait, let me just interrupt for 1 second. You can get back there. We were so in love at 16, 17 years old. I proposed at 19
Yes.
years old, and we were married at 21 years old. We just couldn't wait to spend the rest of our lives with each other.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So there we go. Wedding day, awesome, great, beautiful. Fast forward 2 years. Those feelings that we thought we are the only people in the world that had ever experienced a love like this, those feelings weren't as strong any longer.
They were replaced by some feelings,
They-
but I don't know if they were in love feelings.
Maybe there was a little animosity there.
I mean, we were fighting.
Yeah.
We were arguing over who does what. I felt she wasn't doing this. She felt I wasn't doing that.
Right.
We got to a point where at night I had a room I would go into and just like play video games or watch my own shows, and she would do the same. We were just living separate lives under the same roof, roommates, but there was the romance was gone.
It was gone. We weren't communicating well. We were fighting a lot. Like Chris said, we were blaming each other. And just, we both felt like this marriage is not what we thought. This is not what we signed up for.
No, and so we talked to a few people about this, and some people said, oh yeah, you know, you hit these rough patches in marriage, and it's okay,
Right.
and we agree with that. Sometimes you do.
Sure.
Other people would say, this is marriage, man. You don't feel that. You don't have those feelings anymore.
No.
You just like are roommates, and that's just how it goes.
And we were not okay with that.
We were not okay. So Megan and I did something. We got intentional. Actually, she got intentional. Let's be honest. I can't take credit for this. She got intentional and started reading a marriage book that inspired her that inspired you to kind of understand me more,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And then when I saw that and you started to change, I then got a marriage book and I started to understand you more. And so then we began to grow, and it started this quest to have a great marriage, right? So as we were growing in our marriage and trying to get closer, I came across an article by National Geographic called Love, the Chemical Reaction. And when I read this article, I was very surprised to find out that what had happened to us is actually normal, and it's how our brains are wired to be in relationship.
Yeah.
So hang in there with me real quick. I'm gonna get a little scientific.
A little Bill Nye Science guy on you.
Science guy. So I don't know who that is, for sure. Okay, so they did a study with people that they thought were, quote, madly in love for at least 6 months. So these people had been in a relationship for 6 months, and what they did is they did an MRI, and what they did is they showed them a picture of their loved one. They showed them all kinds of pictures, but when they showed them a picture of their loved one, the person they were, quote, madly in love with 6 months into the relationship, the part in their brain that lit up amazed these scientists because they could actually trace love to a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Okay, we've heard the word dopamine
You guys
before.
have heard this, right?
We
Dopamine.
know what this does in our brains, but they found that love was linked to this chemical dopamine. And so what happens is when you're in a dopamine drenched state
Sure.
of what we call romantic love, your body literally goes into another mode. You can stay up all night talking on the phone, talking in person. You can do things. You have more energy. You feel like you could run a marathon.
Right.
You just have this
Charged by the dopamine.
this charge, this dopamine-induced attachment you have. And so what happened with these same people is over time, as the relationship continued, the dopamine, their love kind of changed from what the scientists call a dopamine-drenched state to an oxytocin-induced attachment. Sorry, that's a mouthful.
Oxytocin-induced attachment.
And what is an oxytocin-induced attachment?
So an oxytocin-induced attachment it's the same kind of connected love that like a mother would feel when she holds her child, or a long-term, lover would feel when they hold each other, when they embrace each other, or like if you have a loved one that you just adore, you know, when you see them, you haven't seen them in 6 months, and you give your grandparents a hug or something, it's that oxytocin. It's a bonding chemical, okay? So it might not have all the sparky, energetic feelings, but it's a deeper bond, long-lasting. What would you say, Chris?
Yeah, it's like a long-lasting induced bond.
Yeah, very.
It's not as exhilarating. You don't feel it as much, but it actually brings you closer.
Yes.
Now, it's at this point in a relationship when people get here. So you have this huge dopamine, spike at the beginning of your
And
relationship.
typically that lasts for how long?
6 months to 2 years.
Okay.
6 months to 2 years, you're in this high octane, dopamine induced attachment to each other. We call romantic love.
Yeah.
And then it kind of changes into oxytocin. And when this happens in a relationship, this is when people think, oh my gosh, I fell out of love with this person.
Right.
I no longer am in love with them.
Right.
Maybe I married the wrong person. Maybe I'm in the wrong relationship. And so what they do is they get divorced, they have affairs, they break things off. Something happens here and they go looking for that romantic love again. Really, the dopamine. They're going back for that chemical.
They're looking for that dopamine hit, basically.
And if you're hopeless romantic out there, don't worry, because what we have found is there are ways to get that dopamine induced romantic connection back in your relationship.
Yes.
But it takes a little bit of work. So the good news and bad news today is, the good news is you didn't marry the wrong person.
Right.
You didn't get in a relationship with the wrong person necessarily. The bad news is you didn't marry the wrong person.
Yeah.
You didn't get in a relationship with the wrong person. Now it's going to take some work. And if you're going to make this relationship work, if you're going to go from roommates back to romance, if you're going to rediscover some of those dopamine, romantic, and drenched feelings, it's possible.
It's totally possible.
But you got to do a couple things. The first thing that I think you got to do is be intentional. What does that mean, Megan? To be intentional. Well, I'm glad you answered that. What it means
to be intentional
is you've got to do something about your relationship. You can't just expect to get out of this rut. It's not naturally just going to happen.
And one of you has to decide to go first. And if you are the one watching this video right now, we are going to suggest that be you. Don't wait for your partner to go first. The whole thing with be intentional is, I'm going to own whatever part of control I have in this relationship, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So I'm going to start learning what my spouse needs. I'm going to start pursuing their heart again and doing the little things that we did at the beginning of the relationship that helped spur on that dopamine.
Yeah,
And
because
just see where it goes.
let's be honest, at the beginning of the relationship, when you're in this dopamine-drenched state of romantic love, you really don't have to work hard
You don't
at
have to think
romance.
about it,
Like,
right?
I was getting her a flower one day. Hey, let's go on this date. Let's go to this crazy thing. Let's
Right.
do this. Let's do this. It would just came naturally. But now, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do Friday night?
Right, yeah.
So now it takes a little bit more intentionality, more planning. Maybe picking up that book, reading a podcast, buying a marriage course. Do a marriage coaching session. We know a couple people that can help you with that. But you got to do something to be intentional. Otherwise, your relationship isn't going to get better. It's not going to just magically bust itself out of the funk that you're in. The second thing is you need to make an investment of time and money. That's what you got to do at this point. How many books did we buy and podcasts? We actually went to a marriage conference.
We went to a marriage
weekend
conference.
marriage conference.
I
also.
listened to marriage podcasts like it was my part-time job. Like I was like, okay, we're determined. If we are going to be in this thing for the long haul, because the craziest thing is that we all want to be married. We enter into marriage thinking it's going to be forever,
Right.
but we don't always educate ourselves
Right.
or put the time and the investment in, right? And we think that we're just naturally supposed to be really good at this. Well, y'all, I don't know about you, but naturally, like I am a selfish person. I know what works for me. I know what's good for me, but to shelf that and try to prioritize and get, not even prioritize, but get inside the mind of the opposite sex that you absolutely love, your husband, your spouse, your wife, that takes a lot more intention. It does not come naturally. It takes, like you said, some investment and some education.
That's right. It's so true. And like you say a lot, you spend all this time, learning to drive a car or going to college or doing whatever to do these other things. But this relationship, which is the most complicated thing you're going to have for the rest of your life, don't you think we should educate ourselves and invest a little time and money into this? And I'm telling you, it will be a great investment for you.
Absolutely.
And the third thing I would say is implement what you've learned.
Yeah.
So you are intentional about working on your marriage, you make an investment, either financial or time, to do more for your marriage, and then implement what you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is funny because this is so hard for us because we've been marriage coaches for 10 years.
Yeah.
We've learned all this stuff. And in the middle of a fight, we'll still blow it because we didn't implement what we learned and what we've taught people when emotions are running high.
Yeah, it's so true. When, like you said, when emotions are running high, and I don't know if you guys are like this, but like you're in your head, like counseling yourself, like, no, don't do that. You know where this is going to go if you say that thing. But you're still human. You still need grace. You still need all of that at the end of the day. But implementation, I can't even say that enough, how perfect that word is. I mean, it'd be like, you want to get in shape, so you research the best gym equipment. You buy the gym, you set it up, and then you stare at it.
You know what you're supposed to do,
Right.
but you just never get on the equipment.
You never go to the basement to actually get a workout in. That's where this breakdown is. So you gotta be intentional, you gotta invest, and then you need to implement.
So here's the question. Question was, is love a feeling? Yes, it is. You bet it is. I don't care what people will tell you. No, love's not a feeling, it's just a choice. Love is both.
Yes.
Love is full of choices. And the choices we make bring feelings into our love. And we determine that. Okay, there's times where we're not going to feel in love, right? We're not going to feel, we're going to be mad at each other. We're going to fight, feel disconnected. That's going to happen. That happens to Megan and I.
Yep.
But what we know is if we choose to make an investment into our relationship and to implement some things we know will work because we've used them over time, guess what? The connection and the in-love feelings come back. We go from roommate to romance.
Your feelings follow your choices. They
do.
really, really do.
And so this is what we do. It's called roommates to romance. That's what Make Love Work is all about. We help people go from roommate to romance mode.
Yeah.
And your marriage is going to go like this. It's going to go, okay, I'm in roommate mode. Okay, I'm in romance. I'm in roommate. I got to get intentional again. I got to do a check.
Right.
And it takes work.
Yeah.
But you can get there and we can help you. So yes, love is a feeling. It is a choice. It's all of it.
It's all of it.
And we can have a romance that we had. I can honestly say I love this girl more than I did at 16. And maybe don't always feel as intense
like you
as we
did when you
did.
were 16.
But we still have those intense feelings as well.
Absolutely. And
You can too.
you really can. We are not the people, like you said, you touched on earlier, that believe you just gotta suck it up and die to yourself and this is just how it is. No. Is it work? Is it investment? Is it intentionality? Is it implementing? Yes. But like you said, those feelings follow.
Those in love feelings come back and they follow a choice to invest into your marriage.
Yeah.
So hope that helps you today. I know it was a little bit longer than normal, but it's worth it. Make an investment into your marriage today. If you want, we can help you. Go to makelovework.me or subscribe to this YouTube channel and you can get more videos like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
So have a great day, everyone. And remember, healthy relationships are never an accident.